Hello everyone, this is one of the very latest LEGO Botanicals sets. I paid $70 US for this and it comes with 660 pieces. It's 70 euros, 60 pounds UK, or $90 Canadian. This is about 14 inches tall or 36 centimeters, and of course the base or the pot is included. This thing is very thick and, as you can imagine, has quite a bit of repetition involved in the initial build there. You can just see it in front of you. The inside, the core of it is kind of interesting with the Technic pieces. They do have some color coding in there that's kind of fun. And ultimately, this does need to be pretty heavy in order to hold everything up and to be pretty secure. Thankfully, it is secure, but check this out. Look around the back of the whole thing. You can see a lot more of the structure of the branches, and it's kind of interesting to look at, but at the same time, obviously all of the flowers are facing forward, or very nearly forward. So the overall impression of this is more of one that has a single camera-friendly angle, which is not the most usual thing for this series, I would say. See, you turn it this way, it becomes pretty flat. You turn it this way, and you're just not looking at any of the flowers whatsoever. Of course, you can adjust some of that and customize it, make it look even better still from different angles. But it's just interesting that the intended way of putting this together is to essentially have it up against a wall, so it's it has all of its color and all of its most bright and cheery stuff facing in one general direction. Pretty much all the leaves are the bright green color, and I like that. I like the contrast between the color of the leaves and the dark tan color for the main stalk there and the branches. You can see some little buds in some different stages of development. So you got just the little ones, the smallest ones that are done with tulip flowers. And then there's an in-between here. So this actually is a flower that's coming out, whereas these are relatively new foliage that are about to grow. And then you've got flowers that are even closer to opening up. Each individual flower is identical. They're done exactly the same. And I think they look pretty nice, although just to my eyes, they don't initially they don't match what I expect, what my brain expects. I have to admit that's a me problem though, and I do appreciate that LEGO has chosen to go with a different color scheme, just not the default color scheme that you expect for these flowers. And when you look at their specific, their reference for this particular one, you can see the similarity a little bit better there, but I don't think that this particular image right here does a lot of kindness, just how frilly this is and how broad it is compared to what you get from the large clamshells. However, that said, I think that especially from any kind of reasonable distance, these flowers look quite good given that they are made from Lego pieces. And to make them better, LEGO would have had to come up with another new, more specialized part to represent more interesting petals, which I think would have been a valid thing to do, a valuable thing to do that they would be able to use for other types of flowers in the future as well. But I think that this is a reasonable compromise to keep it, just kind of keep it within the family of parts that we're already used to. Already this is a very specialized part here, this leaf piece, but I'm personally happy to have things like that. But ultimately, I think this is a fine way to do it. Just again, for me, yeah, I would have hoped for more red, or at least something closer to a magenta, maybe some larger petals than that, and a default organization and orientation of everything that was a little bit more balanced from different angles. But this is a valid choice. It's just not necessarily what I personally would prefer or expect. Here's a quick look at the leftover pieces. Of course, there are no stickers for the set, but I've got something more interesting to show you. Behold what I feel is kind of the standard for LEGO Botanicals, especially amongst potted plants, the orchid. And this is a product that's still on the market today. It's been out for quite a while, but it's still on the market today. And I think it deserves to be on the market today because in spite of the fact that it's not the newest thing, it still looks great. And it does its job really, really well of being a LEGO thing with clever usage of parts, some nice quality with the special prints that they made for the smaller flowers here as well. A nice strong base, some texture down in there as well. Just the whole thing I think works out pretty well. I feel like it's fair to compare these two, especially given that their overall size is pretty similar. You know, this one spreads out a little bit more. This one's a little bit more dense. But here's the thing. Again, I paid $70 US for this over here, 70. It's 70 euros, 60 pounds UK, or $90 Canadian. 70 US versus 50 US for this. This is currently on the market right now for 50 US. Well, there are a couple things going on. Number one, this has not been adjusted for inflation. This has, because this had its price set when it first came out, and a lot of things have happened since then. This one's been adjusted and has probably been adjusted for future inflation as well, assuming that it'll actually be on the market for a little bit longer. I think that companies in general are starting to be a little bit more wary of price changes that are beyond their own control. And they're starting to, bake that in a little bit, but also partially a very successful company, like one that is making over $2 billion of net profit after all expenses per year, can simply charge more because people are paying good prices for their products or services, products in this case. $70 US versus $50 US. I would take that any day, personally, even if I liked the look of this better. Even if this had like red or dark magenta flowers, or even white. You know what? White would actually be pretty nice as well. I understand they want to have some variation. Again, this is all the design choices here I think are completely valid. I don't hold that against the designer at all. But between these two, 70 versus 50, I would take this any day, right? If they re-release this today, or if they release this for the first time today, though, the orchid, would it be $50? No. Would it be 60? Maybe. But this is 70. Would this be 70 today? Maybe. If it would be, then that's fair, I guess. But this is the problem that I have with the value here. Otherwise, I just really can't complain about this one. All the decisions that were made with this set that I don't like are completely subjective ones. Completely subjective ones. I could nitpick about the blue color of the axle pins, just in a couple spots. That's the worst of it. The fact that all the flowers are mostly pointing in one direction, you can just adjust these. You can just flip these things around and have some of the flowers facing towards the rear. It's easy. It's very, very simple with the way that this is built. So that's not an objective problem with it. The fact that the color isn't what I expect, again, is a me problem. So all in all, good product here. Price, especially when you compare it to that. That's about all I have to say about this one, though. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support of the channel and of my work. And I will keep doing as much work as I possibly can for you as quickly as I can. Bye for now.